On today's adventure, I am combining hobbies, photography and biking, and I'm riding with my friend John at Michaux State Forest in Pennsylvania. Additionally, I'm also focused on a goal that I mentioned in a previous episode, and that's riding new trails. What could go wrong, right? Now, I've been interested in photography for about as long as I can remember, and sport, and then also combining the two. And like many of us, I've loved poring over the magazines like the bike photo annuals or many great blogs that have existed over the years. And with video on the internet and the age of the GoPro, it's made capturing riding even more accessible than ever. But what do you do when you want to do something other than those POV shots and get something that looks a little bit more like a really good magazine quality photograph? As we started out this ride, I'll touch on some of the tips that I've learned over the years and learned the hard way. Spoiler alert, there were a lot of hard lessons to be learned on this ride. So John and I started out on our ride on the 1100 block trail from the parking lot on Ridge and Centerville Road. And right off the bat, I was reminded by tip number 1, shoot some B-roll. Now I realize B-roll is a term for video, but if you're doing a photo essay, a blog post, a story, Instagram stories, it's always a good idea to show the beginning instead of jumping right into the story, kind of like you've seen this video here. And that brings me to tip number 2 at about this point is to watch your fitness. If you're doing a photo story ride, it's hard. You have a lot of extra gear to worry about, so be realistic about how fast and how far you're going to take this ride. Now on this section of trail,
this would be a cool shot for a photo.
I wanted to grab a shot, but John had already left me well in the dust. And by the time I spotted this place to take a shot, he was well out of earshot. So this is going to bring me to tip number 3. Have a plan and communicate it with your ride partner. And that's because a photo ride or a YouTube ride is very different than a normal bike ride. You stop more often, you re-ride sections. You really need a ride partner that's going to be patient, understand the goal, and is enthusiastic about what you guys are setting out to capture. So as we descended down from this trail and we crossed over Ridge Road onto Valley Hook Trail, I realized that this ride was going to be pretty difficult. It was technical, rough, had steep sections to it, and I didn't know where I was going. I really wish that I had known the route prior to dragging out my good camera for a ride. This is where having a good plan is important, so you know what you're getting into. So on the Valley Hook Trail, we stopped for a few shots, and my selfie tools that I had brought along had quickly failed me, and I'll talk more about that in an upcoming episode. But I had decided to put aside the frustration from my fitness, my lack of a plan, and equipment failures, and just got behind the camera, just shoot what you know, and walk away from the day with something good to show for it.
I'm gonna set up a shot here.
And I think we got some cool images for it. I got some cool desktop patterns and some nice stuff to share on Instagram. As we continued to journey onward, the trail got pretty wet pretty quickly.
It's slimy.
That trail goes down to the creek.
All right.
And it doesn't really go anywhere. That one will eventually join you up a trail that starts from the bottom and goes to the top where we started. This is what we need.
Okay.
I know all this because I couldn't figure out where anything went, so I followed them out. And this looks kind of murky.
Is this a bad route to choose?
This is a bad route to choose. I've never seen it like this before.
And at one point, I was really exhausted on a climb, and I collapsed on my handlebars to catch my breath, and saw this cool shot and grabbed the camera and took a quick snap of it. Now, we continued down the trail a little bit more, and we ended up at Camp Michaux, which is an old POW interrogation camp from World War II. It was hidden in the forest of Pennsylvania, and not a lot of people knew about it. It's kind of an interesting part of history. Many of the foundations remain in this area. I took this picture of my bike for the GMBM bike vault that never made it to the show. And then we headed back up to Ridge Road for the other side of the 1100 block trail and back to the car. But not before stopping for a shot of a vista and asking John to make sure that I got a shot of me in one of the frames so I wasn't always behind the camera. So my GoPro had died at this point, so the ride at footage ends here, but there is so much more to cover on this topic. And I'll make some more videos as I venture down the rabbit hole of taking great shots while riding. But before I wrap up, I'm gonna give you tip number 4, and that is to keep trying, don't give up. Magazine photographers often take thousands of shots to get that one killer image for a particular shoot. It's all part of the process and learning. I have more to share on the topic, but that's an adventure for another day. Thank you for watching.
Here's a downward trail, and that's the trail that I think goes along the creek.
Oh, okay.
I was coming back on it, and I couldn't find it. Just stopped, and I was walking with my bike over my head through like just feet of